Hi, today I'd like to talk to you about how to add notes directly to a PowerPoint slide just like this. I'm Carl Kopp, and please join me as we explore how to add notes directly to a PowerPoint slide. Now, the first thing you're going to need is the Developer tab in PowerPoint. So let's say you open up your PowerPoint and you're like, hey, I don't have my Developer tab. I don't know where it is. It's not there. That's okay. I can show you how to enable it. So you hit on File, and under File, you're going to get a list of items, and you want to go down to Options. Click on Options, and this dialog box will appear. And on the left, again, you have a series of options, but you want the option that says Customize Ribbon. Click on Customize Ribbon, and then you'll see a lot of items that you already have on your ribbon. What I do is I tend to hit Main tabs and I look for Developer. Sometimes it's down by the bottom. And if you don't have it over here, you just click on Add. Now I happen to have Developer and it's right here. So I click on it and now Developer will be enacted when I go back. So I'm just going to hit OK. And you can see there's the Developer tab. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to find the Developer tab. You want to add it if you don't already have it. This is critical to making sure you can take notes on your PowerPoint slide. Now, before we go too far into the technical aspects, you might want to say, why do you want to take notes on a PowerPoint slide during the middle of a virtual session or the middle of a physical classroom where the learners or students or trainees are right in front of you? The reason is because it provides a single location for reflection. For example, if you did a Teams or a Zoom or something like that and asked a question and put it in the notes, that's great, but the notes scroll up and all the students can't see them and it's hard to see them in one place. But here you can have all the reflections in one place. And that allows you and the students in one place, if I can only spell, but that allows all of the students and you to see everything and the learners see everything right there, right in front of you. It's a good way for learners to see what others have learned, to see what others are getting out of the session, to understand kind of the big picture. And you as the instructor or facilitator can add that information right in the learning moment. And the neat thing about this is if you distribute the PowerPoint slides to the learners afterwards, these notes will be right here, right in the slide itself, right in the context of what you're speaking about. So those are some important reasons to use reflection and taking notes right on the slide. Plus it doesn't, kind of break that fourth wall, if you will, if you have to go behind the scenes and add something on the slide and then go back into slideshow mode. So it allows a nice, neat way to take notes, to do a reflection, to elicit student feedback all in one place. Now let's talk about actually how you add the notes capability to a slide. So as I said earlier, we're going to click on our Developers tab, and that's going to give us our Developer ribbon here. And notice on the ribbon, we've got like the Visual Macro, Visual Basic Macro, all that kind of stuff. But all we're really interested in is controls. And under controls, there's a little tiny element that has AB on it. And we're just going to click on the AB, and we're just going to draw that as big as we want on our slide. This is now the area where we can take notes. Now, there's a couple other things we need to do. So, for example, and a couple things to keep in mind, we cannot take notes here. We can only take notes when we're in slideshow mode. So we're going to have to click on slideshow down here, and now I can take notes right here. Now, notice that I can't hit enter. It's not multi-line. I've got to do things to make this a little bit more conducive to actually taking notes. So let's go back into this mode and let's click on properties. Properties is an important element for controlling how the notes look on the screen. So I'm going to click on properties and it gives me this dialog box. And there's two options. There's an alphabetic and there's a categorized. Let's just go ahead and click on categorized. Now that we've clicked on categorize, we can see different categories of items that we may want to change. So the first is appearance. So we could change the back color of our field where we're going to take notes. For example, we may want to make it maybe more yellow, kind of like a post-it note or lined ruled paper, something like that. We can also change the border style. So if you'll notice, in this particular style, it looks kind of like a sunken with a little bit of a shadow. Maybe we don't want that. So what we can do is, we don't have a lot of options, but one of the options is simply a single line. So now we have a single line around it. If we look here, we can see there's that single line. It doesn't look like it's a shadow. And this just depends on your personal preferences, which one you happen to like. Now you can also change the color of the text. So for example, if we go to palette and we go to red, we could put in a red text, and as we typed in there, or it changes the text we already have there, it's red. I don't really think red looks good on yellow, so I'm gonna go ahead and change that back to a just simple black. So those are some appearance things that we can do. We could even change the border color. So let's say that we would want that to be maybe a green. I don't know why the green and yellow doesn't look any better. You can see that's a light little green right there. So you have lots of control over what you might want to change. And I'm going to change that back because I don't like that particular green. I like the black there. Now, there's some other things that are really critical that we want to do here. We want to set our enter key behavior to true, so that when we enter, we can, move through our item pretty easily, our text box, our notes pretty easily. We also want to make a multiple line because we want to be able to add multiple lines as you take notes. Now, another thing you may want to do is change the font. I always like to change the font, and this is probably the most controversial part of this video, but I like the Comic Sans font. And why do I like that? I like it because it looks enough like writing, but it's not so hard to see. Some of the handwriting ones are really difficult. And then you can even change the font size so everybody can see it. Now, if you don't like Comic Sans, go ahead and pick another font. That's perfectly okay. And I just click OK, and now I've got my font there. So if you look here, there is my Comic Sans large font right there. I know lots of people don't like Comic Sans, but I like it. So the other thing that you may want to think about doing is you may want scroll bars. So if you have a lot of information, you can go ahead and put scroll bars on here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on scroll bar, and I'm going to do the vertical scroll bar. You could do any kind of scroll bar that you want. And here, as we take notes, and I'm gonna have to, it doesn't show up, of course, until I actually need the scroll bar. Then if I wanted to go back, if I had a lot of notes, we could scroll up the scroll bar. So that's just an option that you can have. Now, one other option I'm going to show you is an option for dragging behavior. So you can actually, if you want to, decide to allow dragging within your item. And so what you need to do is find the dragging behavior, and it is missing right here, but there, I found it under miscellaneous. And what does that allow you to do? Well, you can move content from one place to another. So this might be nice for you to use. You might want to rearrange things as you're taking notes. You might want to put things in different orders, and allowing drag allows that to happen. If we turn the drag off, if we disable that behavior, try to drag, you notice it's not moving. It's just not happening. So what you really want to do is if you want to move things around, you want to make the drag behavior yes. So right here, you would want to enable that, and boom, I've got it enabled. So now I have my notes. Now again, I can't delete the notes there. Oh, sometimes if you double click, you get into the Visual Basic, which you don't need at all. Just click on the X and it'll go back out. But if you try to edit notes here, maybe I want to double click on this, it's not going to work. It's going to bring you to Visual Basic every time. If you're doing this presentation for lots of different learners, you will need to actually come back into the slide itself and delete it that way. Now you may have noticed that all the text that we've entered so far is aligned to the left, and most of the time that is adequate. Left aligned text works really well. But you might be saying to yourself, I'd really like this text perhaps centered. So what you can do is come down to text align, and you have three different options. You can center the text. So now you can see that the text is centered. We'll go ahead and look at that. So that is an option. And you can also come here and you can align it to the right. So now the text, as you can see, is aligned to the right. So this text alignment gives you control over where the text will appear on the screen. And that can be helpful as you decide how you want to integrate this into your presentation. Let me give you a demo of how I put all this together. So this is a presentation where the learners are seeking out a mystery and they're trying to solve the mystery. And at the end, I ask them what they learned. So we have this character that says, so what did you learn today? And then I created kind of a notebook look and feel, and they can add things about learning. So they can learn about scaffolding. Maybe they learned about open objectives. Maybe they learned about the use of curiosity. So one of the things you have to worry about is when you're typing in front of people, your spelling, mine isn't always the best. But this is how I present it to the learners. And I made this look a little bit like a notebook and threw the pencil in there so people are taking notes. And behind the scenes, basically you can see this is an element of PowerPoint that I just drew a squiggly line. Then I drew a bunch of black lines, actually black circles. I actually drew one and copied it. And then I put this on top of my element there of my field so that I can then go ahead and type in the field. And if we look in developer and we look under properties, we can see all the different properties that we have. I have the border style as none, so there's no border around it. I actually did the floor color as black. I made it multiple lines. So I did all the things that we talked about. So putting it together within a presentation allows you to have a really slick way of doing a review. And it really adds to the interactivity and the dimension of talking to the learners, asking them what they would like to reflect upon, and then typing in that reflection into the presentation. So this is something that you could do, and good luck with your interactive, exciting PowerPoint presentation.